My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubois. And have you ever wondered how to scale a real estate portfolio while still in university with no money partners? Well, today's guest, Jude Gomes, an expert in the multi-family apartment investments and virtual assistant management. He's here to share some secrets with us. Welcome to the show, Jude. Great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bryce, for having me. I'm really excited to share my story and give some insight to other people looking to get into real estate or other people that are already in real estate right now.
Yeah, so you're relatively young. You're like 22. And when did you get started? How did you get started in this real estate game?
So yeah, I actually started kind of when I was 19 years old, bought my
Wow.
first property in Windsor, Ontario. Before that, kind of had a bunch of other side hustles slash entrepreneurial kind of endeavors, like all the
Hmm.
way kind of way back when I was 9 years old, started delivering newspaper, built up a lot of connections with neighbors, kind of did landscaping, shoveling snow, mowing lawns, things like that. All the way into high school, just, working jobs, just for whatever reason, I just wanted to kind of build up capital, save up money, never really spent anything. And then by the time I was 19, me and my girlfriend Clienta, we both bought our first property together. Just a rental property in Windsor, Ontario, single family home. And then from there, we kind of got that bug to buy more real estate, and we kind of got into the BRRRR strategies and flipping. And we ultimately started buying like triplexes and duplexes. And now we've recently closed on a 10-unit building. So kind of looking to scale into those larger multifamily. And up to this point, we haven't raised any kind of money partners when it comes to equity. We've raised debt and done kind of short-term BRRRR properties, and now we're getting into the bigger stuff. So a little bit different of a strategy. And alongside that, I've been able to scale up a virtual assisting agency. So we provide virtual assistants to other real estate investors, realtors, mortgage brokers, property managers, things like that. And yeah, so did all that while in university for engineering. Not
Hmm.
really going to pursue the engineering sort of thing now, just more so just into real estate and building up that virtual assisting agency.
Nice. So, without having to bring on partners, there must be some creative structured deals in there. What have you been doing to kind of get these creative deals put together?
Yeah, great question. So when I first started off, like single family home, we didn't really know anything when it comes to being creative and when it comes to, closing on these deals. But after the first one, we kind of started reading books, listening to podcasts, kind of learning from other investors. I actually had a mentor who owned, several hundred units, and I kind of learned from him when it comes to deal structure, negotiating, and how to kind of properly put together these larger multifamily properties, just obviously on smaller scale. So one really key strategy that I used was utilizing vendor takebacks.
Hmm.
Just basically being able to get into the property with very low of my own capital, and using my own capital for just the renovations, getting it to a point of stability, and then kind of refinancing, getting major like all my money out plus the VTB and initial kind of mortgage funds, and being able to just repeat that cycle. So obviously kind of getting creative with the seller. Majority of my deals are off market, so I'm able to structure kind of deals more creatively,
Hmm.
understand what the seller is actually selling for, why they're selling, and what they're going to do with the money. And then obviously how they're going to, like, then I can kind of reverse engineer that and understand, okay, since you need this amount of capital on closing, the rest can be sort of like a vendor take back. You have this amount of mortgage. Just there, obviously there's a lot of different ways that you can get creative with these deals. You can even work before closing. I've done, some structures like that. Cash back on closing, things like that. But the main kind of strategy is definitely utilizing some sort of a vendor take back, and the seller being able to finance me majority of the price or a small portion in second position.
Nice, nice. So, could you tell us a little bit more about the virtual assistants, how you systematize that for your real estate portfolio?
So when I first, like I said, I had a mentor. He implemented virtual assistants in his own business. So I was the one that kind of just helped him onboard, train, and screen his VAs. And it was a very, very long process. And it was just like time intensive, and it involved a lot of my own time just to train somebody else to be able to offload the tasks. And in the beginning, I was like, why am I even doing this? I'd rather just do the work myself. But
Mm-hmm.
getting more into like real estate after being in it for several years, I realized like the importance of, delegation and being able to outsource these day-to-day kind of repetitive tasks, right? So after starting to implement VAs within my own business, I realized that there's a big need in the real estate investment community, but also just in the real estate community in general. So that's why I kind of lean towards offering it as a service. And so within my own business, obviously they take care of the day-to-day management of the properties, the portfolio, the rental units, but also within the actual VA company, I have several people in-house that help me with the operational side of things. And this can be implemented not in only real estate businesses. It's like you can do this with any sort of business that you have, bookkeeping, repetitive tasks, administrative work, even lead generation and marketing. So kind of like once I realized like the possibilities that you can really you do with virtual assistants, it's like hiring a employee, like a full-time employee, right? Like you're basically doubling and multiplying your time to be able to focus on what really matters in the business, and
Mm-hmm.
focus on the higher value tasks while you're able to outsource sort of the tasks that I mentioned. So really utilizing that and being able to, offer it to other people is really valuable, especially if someone else is able to generate, a higher return on what they're actually spending on the virtual assistant itself.
Nice. So, managing a real estate portfolio is tough enough, but while in university at the same time, that sounds challenging. How did you effectively juggle the both? What advice would you have for people like yourself, in a similar situation?
So in a people in a similar situation, obviously it's uh it's a it's 100% really challenging, especially
Mm-hmm.
being in like an engineering program. It's not the easiest of programs. I would say it's more so like within a given year, there's cycles when it comes to how productive you can be in your real estate business and in
Mm-hmm.
school as well, because exam season and it gets really hectic at times. So um I really utilize like since I have a partner as well, me and my girlfriend Kanta, she's able to really like what I focus on is completely different what she focuses on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she focuses more on the management, the interaction with tenants, kind of construction management, things like that. While I focus on the acquisition side, my kind of expertise is really finding the deals, finding the opportunities, kind of these CEO tasks, I guess you could say, and being able to delegate and kind of understand what is priority and what isn't priority, and where we should allocate our resources, kind of tasks like that that I'm overseeing. So that like being skilled at these sort of tasks obviously help me because I'm not physically boots on the ground in person, managing these properties. So being in school, obviously it was challenging, just knowing my priorities. Like I know that long term I'm not going to pursue my degree that I'm still like was actively um, you know, getting it to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
But I keeping that in mind. I didn't really strive for the best grades. I just wanted to kind of get the bare minimum pass and spend as much time in the real estate business as possible. So it was definitely challenging. It's not the easiest, and so just balancing the two was learning lesson when it comes to like splitting up your time, knowing what's important and priority within a given time, especially when you have a lot of sellers that you need to keep in touch with and follow up and like kindle the relationship, or else they might
Mm-hmm.
potentially sell to somebody else, things like that. So it's not the easiest, I would say. Like most people in school definitely don't really do the whole real estate thing, but I was fortunate enough where I got in at a good time, and I was just forced to figure out how to make my time work. So yeah.
So lead generation almost always a challenge. I don't know a reality where it's not. So what strategies have you found to be most effective for generating leads for your real estate business?
In terms of like finding off market properties, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of the thing that I've been really like successful at because I've been able to kind of develop certain skill sets and strategies to connect with sellers off market. Now, one key tool that I use is like, since my partner, she's a real estate agent. So real estate agents have certain platforms and tools that you're able to check the title and purchase price that they bought the property for, when they bought it. So having that and being able to build up like a database of people that have owned properties for X amount of time, bought it for X amount of dollars. I'm able to target certain people. And then with that information, I'm able to, try to find them online. Maybe they have LinkedIn, maybe I can find their, 411 page, or,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
any Instagram or anything like that. Facebook is a big one as well. So just try to reach out to them on one of these social platforms, or if I can find their phone number, email, just just reach out to them. But in a worst case scenario, I usually send a letter to their house and just introducing myself. I'm in the market. I buy properties in this area, and looking to expand. I'd love to connect. Give me a call or send me an email. And with that strategy alone, I've been pretty successful when it comes to just people calling me. Now, most deals don't make sense. Most people just want to hear you out and see what you're going to offer them. Now,
Yeah.
it's challenging, especially when it comes to the multifamily, because you kind of need all the numbers in front of you to make a educated offer. So I would say, the biggest thing is just getting in front of these people, talking to these owners of these buildings and properties, and just
Mm-hmm.
understanding how their mind works, and just being able to tell the difference between their personalities, things like that. I think is really important. And I think building the skill set to do that is far more important than just getting a good deal, right? Like a good deal you can create, you can find, but I think the skill sets to be able to repeat that process is a lot more valuable than just, finding someone on the street that wants to sell their house, right?
Yeah. So like be making it into like a consistent, repeatable thing.
Exactly. 100%.
So scaling a portfolio without money is pretty impressive. Can you walk us through, your approach, any sort of lessons you learned along the way?
Absolutely. So like I said before, I use very creative strategies to get into deals.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's actually more important to how you execute, how you renovate, how change a kitchen to an updated kitchen. I think what's way more important is actually knowing how to structure and how to create a deal. Because you can look on the MLS, you'll find all the properties, but like most of them don't make sense as an investment standpoint. I think most of the deals that are really successful are ones that are created, not just
Mm-hmm.
found, not just stumbled upon. It's deals that you can understand why they're selling, like I mentioned before, and kind of reverse engineer what the seller truly wants in a way where you're able to benefit, you're able to, buy yourself some time, or get some creative structure on the back end. So when it comes to like scaling with little to no money, obviously you do need some sort of capital to do renovations and get into the properties, closing costs, holding costs. Now, if you're able to do it in a way where your first several deals are able to put you in a place where, like for example, the first 3 4 deals I did, I was able to get a really good margin, not because of the timing, but because I just bought really good deals. Now that allowed me to build up a significant amount of capital through like refinancing the properties, and taking that money and putting it into like larger, 6 10 plus unit type
Mm-hmm.
properties. So so yeah, like just making sure I have a good background and a good base. Like the first 2 years in real estate, I pretty much felt like I was going nowhere. I was stagnant. I just had one property. I just, I felt like I was slowing down. Everyone around me is buying properties. How am I gonna, do it? But obviously I spent that time learning, building, understanding what actually a good deal takes. And then, after those 2 years, I just quickly understood what a good deal is, how to creatively structure it, and then immediately execute when I find that right in front of me.
Nice, nice. So, um, you know, Robert Kiyosaki calls it the unfair advantage. What comes easy to you that other people might find difficult to do?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think it's one of those things where if you're like, if it's just easy to you, if it's easy to go find deals, everyone would do it. There wouldn't be any profits in that case, right? So
Hmm.
even in the US, like there's people that are, skip tracing numbers and finding sellers really easily, and it's so easy to do that. But at the same time, there's a lot more competition. There's a lot more people doing that. Here in Canada, it's more challenging because privacy laws, and it's since that there's a sort of barrier to get to that point of talking to
Hmm.
a seller, talking to a potential owner.
Yeah.
It makes it more lucrative in the end, right? If you're able to really get that first initial step of talking to sellers, finding their contacts, if you're able to get through that step, then the rest is so easy. The rest
Hmm.
is piece of cake. Anybody in real estate, that's what they do, right? They negotiate, they get the deals, and they get it done.
So, with everything you've done in real estate so far, what's your future plans look like for scaling your portfolio? Any new strategies or markets you're considering?
So one thing I'm actually doing, not really to scale up my own portfolio, but I've been fortunate enough to connect with a lot of building owners, like I mentioned. So most of these deals don't make sense on a personal standpoint to take on. So I've always questioned, how would I still like make a good opportunity out of these deals, but when I can't buy them. So what
Mhm.
I've been really focusing on is connecting with other people that are looking to get into multi-residential apartment buildings, things like that, to understand their criteria, and then, backtrack and see what kind of deals that I have that may fit them. And then, obviously connect the two, either take a wholesale fee or some sort of commission. And that's what I'm focusing on when it comes to acquisition side. And then obviously scaling the virtual assisting business is something that it's more a passion project because I just love helping other people systemize and operationalize their businesses. So really taking that up a notch, and then same, just continue what I'm doing on the acquisition side.
So with the virtual assisted stuff, what sort of things have you been able to offload with it being a virtual assistant? Like what's things you found you can offload and delegate and things you can't?
So one big thing is like lead generation and marketing. So within my own company, like the way I'm doing lead generation, like I hired a full-time cold caller. All she's doing is calling, these types of businesses, and she's able to pitch them our services, book set appointments for me. A lot of my clients, they also do have the same thing. They have either cold caller or cold emailer that generates them leads, or even post on Facebook and build up a list of potential buyers. Like lead generation is a big thing that people are implementing, because if you're able to just, have that monthly cost of the VA, and you're able to, make a return on that money, obviously, ideally, double, triple type return, then obviously it makes sense. There's no question to why you wouldn't even hire VA if you're specifically hiring them for lead gen. Now, yeah,
Mhm.
40 hours a week, that's a lot of time. Like they're not only going to be doing that. You can hire them for administrative, your email management, your scheduling. There's a lot of sort of back end work that you could also have them do. The thing that brings you the best return obviously is lead generation. Now, to handle those leads, you have to have some sort of operational side of the business as well. So for me, just being able to focus on just the sales aspect and just the meeting and networking and, doing these podcasts, things like that, I would consider these a lot more higher value than, cold calling a realtor or property management company, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm able to outsource those lower hanging fruits, I can focus on things like interviews like this, where I'm able to get exposure and meet more people just like yourself.
So with the real estate portfolio and your age, have you started thinking like, okay, by the time I'm 30, I'm done? What's that look like?
um, when I first started, like the first property, I was like, okay, maybe I'll have 30 units by the time I'm 30 years old. I'll stop and I'll have enough passive income to retire and live off of that. But I think like as time goes on, like goals change. Like for
Hmm.
me, the goals have gotten a lot bigger just because of, what I'm able to do in the last, several years. I just want to keep growing and growing. And me and my partner, we have a very you have a growth mindset, and we're really excited for what the future has, and we built up a lot of these skills, and we just want to harness it and just put it out there, right? So in terms of goals, it's we don't have a specific goal, um like obviously want to drive Lambos and Porsches, and like that's one of the things. But obviously ultimately going into my like later 20s, I'd probably want to start a family, settle down a bit,
I
but
was
for now
gonna
just
say you're
go
like
on.
you're property married. When are you gonna when you
Exactly.
get married for real, and then you're
Yeah.
gonna have to find a new property manager because
Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna be
exactly.
managing the kids.
So yeah, definitely just keep growing. Still on the growth phase, and just want to, continue hustling and scaling.
Nice, nice. So, um, was there any point in real estate where you're like, you know, this ain't for me?
Um, honestly, no, like ever since I first started, like I got in at a decent time, like right before COVID. So obviously, prices went up, and I just got that like that surge of like motivation, and that surge of, everyone's making money around me. So, why am I not? So I never really had one of those moments. Last year, I had several deals where I had, really large contracts with contractors that, fumbled and just lost a lot of money when it comes to like multiple six figures type thing. So obviously that's, very heartbreaking, very like taking a toll on you. But for me as a person, I just know like those are just kind of roadblocks that you have to get through to get to that next level. Like you're gonna lose 6 figures to get to seven, you're gonna lose 7 figures to get to eight type thing. Maybe
Mm.
not exactly that, but yeah, like that's I just consider it
Yeah.
one of those things that you have to get through. Now you're just gonna be in a new sort of frame of mind, and you've learned from that. You're not gonna make that same mistake. And that's one thing I take on. And I'm definitely gonna be in real estate, just have different sort of strategies, like one for long-term wealth and one for, monthly passive income. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on.
How, just for the people listening along, what do you think got, what do you think had you lose control of those renovation budgets?
It was the main thing was just like being like obviously being who I am. Like I'm very about the numbers. I'm like to systemize things and not really like dive too deep and be hands-on. So I think trying to I think I was quick to kind of let go of the control. I was like, okay, this reputable person, give them the control, let them handle it. They've, in that situation. So just letting go of my control, having less control was one of those things that kind of made everything blow up. So I would say if you're buying properties, even business in general, or in life in general, you should always kind of have control of the situation that you're putting yourself in, especially when it comes to like money. And like a lot of money in big renovations, you should absolutely have full control over the project. Don't let things go haywire, because as soon as one thing starts going out of control, everything starts blowing up. And timelines start getting longer, holding costs increase. There's so many variables in real estate that you just want to have full control and understand what is happening at all times. And just being aware, having that sort of understanding is really important. Like at the time, I think I was going on a vacation. I was gone for 2, 3 weeks, and I just let the contractor handle it. Came back, it was a disaster, right? And I just like at that moment, I was like, okay, I shouldn't have went on vacation. Should have, had everything under control before I went. And and obviously learned a lot from that.
What's the saying? When the cat's away, the mice will play.
Yeah, exactly. That's perfect.
Yeah, systems and processes. I mean, it's earn or learn really, whether it's going to go well. So I'm glad you got you pivoted that and you've got that under control now. When, with Canadian real estate specifically, and the interest rate in regards to multifamily, what are you doing to kind of mitigate that situation, or what do you see, where do you see things going?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot harder to make deals pencil out. Like when it comes to interest rates, like even before the rate hikes, like most of the deals didn't make sense even at the lower rates. Like it was in debt servicing, your loan to values weren't getting that high on acquisition. So now even with the higher rates, it puts a lot more stress on people that are, doing these large multi-projects. So for me, obviously I was kind of fortunate that I didn't take too much debt on, too much, like any partners at all for that matter. So obviously scaling slowly, but scaling fast enough that I'm able to build something quickly, right? Like I'm being very selective on the types of properties that I'm taking on, especially for my own portfolio. Anything that doesn't fit my criteria at all, I either wholesale or I just let the deal go. Um, Being very selective, understanding that larger multifamily projects they take 1, 2, 3, 4+ years, right? So having a business plan for each building is really important. And no matter
Mhm.
what happens in the market, no matter what happens, in real estate, like I'm going to be protected as long as I just follow my buy box criteria and understanding the numbers all the time. So just having that understanding is really important.
Now, are you invested in multifamily in Ontario, or is it another market, or where are you buying your properties primarily?
Yeah, just Ontario right now.
So do you worry about the tenancy branch and the tenants, situation that's going on in Ontario these days?
Yeah, I think it's obviously like it's hard to wrap your head around it when it comes to like understanding, okay, how long is it going to take to vacate my units? How long is it going to take to turn over, X% of the building? So I guess for me, I haven't reached a point where I stress about that too much. Like it's one of those things that I anticipate a certain amount of turnovers, and hopefully I can get that, and I try to force my way to get that point so that I'm able to get my capital back. But when it comes to actual, tenancy laws and stuff like that, I prioritize management, and I provide good management services. So just having that, like I said, hand on the pulse, If any maintenance requests, any issues that go on, we're upkeep of the property. We're just making sure that our properties are good, so our tenants are happy. And then obviously, just if the tenants are happy, don't have to worry about when it comes to payments, things like that. You're always going to have bad apples. It's just part of the game. I think like the risks in Ontario, like the risk to reward ratio, it makes sense wherever you go. If you're gonna go to Alberta or like a lower market like that, now Alberta's like doing crazy, but I'm just saying as an example, if you go to a province where there's lighter tenancy laws, like obviously your compensation will be a lot lower, your reward is going to be a lot lower. So I think
Interesting.
just sticking to what I know, I do want to explore into the US and other markets, but for now, just want to make a proof of concept and really scale what I have right now. And then, once I'm able to get to a point that I can just, have extra money to just throw into another market, obviously just I'll experiment with that.
Yeah, that's interesting perspective. Risk and reward when it comes to tenancies. You go to Alberta, low risk, potentially low reward. You go into Ontario, there's a high risk of tenancy nonsense, but also you might hit one of those appreciation curves and all of a sudden everything you own is like 3 times as expensive over a 6-month period. So
Exactly.
he's smile. This is the biggest smile of the episode because he knows it's true. We're gonna get the next appreciation curve, and he's gonna be in his Lambo, 250K, just being like, yeah, refi money. So yeah, that's awesome. So if people want to connect with you, they want to find out more, they want to think about, possibly helping you with maybe send you a deal or
Yeah.
partnerships, what should they do? How do they find you?
So my Instagram handle is @FurgoEstates. That's my real estate company, Furgo Estates. And if you're looking for VA services, virtual assisting services, my company is called Task Tuesday, and my Instagram is task.tuesday. So reach out to me. Feel free to connect, and let's connect. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Bryce, for having me.
No problem. Until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.